Onimusha was released in 2001 for the PlayStation 2. It was also put onto PC, although that one is a version that people would probably not really want to talk about. Now, the game was developed by Capcom and originally started being made on the PlayStation 1 as a Sengoku-era Resident Evil style game. But it was obviously moved to PlayStation 2 due to, I'm going to say, technical difficulties, potentially. And interestingly enough, Onimusha was the first PlayStation 2 game to sell 1 million copies, so kudos there, it's pretty cool. Although apparently there was a bug or two in Onimusha which inspired Devil May Cry, and of course, as we all know, Devil May Cry was created from what was originally going to be Resident Evil 4, so that's a cool little tidbit there. Now, Onimusha is essentially a hack and slash Resident Evil game, really. It's got some pretty cool combat. It's what you get if you smush together Ninja Gaiden and Resident Evil. So it's actually pretty cool, and it does play pretty well. Although it does have sort of tanky controls, they have been updated for the HD version, which is what this one is, captured on PlayStation 5, but of course it's the PlayStation 4 version. Now, you can get this game on Nintendo Switch and Xbox and PC as well, so you can pretty much play it wherever you want. There's 8 entries in the Onimusha saga, 3 mainline games, and then a few spin-offs, including a tactics one. Although received very well, Onimusha's sequels, unfortunately, and the spin-offs, they didn't do as well, which is a shame. So I'm guessing because of that, any more remasters aren't going to be coming, especially when you consider that the Onimusha HD remaster only sold 300,000 copies across all platforms. So I'm guessing Capcom have lost interest in HDing up any of the others. Again, which is a shame because, like I said, the game is pretty good. The game has some awesome combat, puzzles, and old school fixed camera angles, which I actually do personally like. It's got some cool boss fights. You can obviously use a katana, the sword. You can use ranged weapons, of course. It's got survival horror elements, so you don't want to be spaffing out all of your ammo. You can also gain 3 elemental weapons as well, and by defeating enemies you can then absorb ability orbs in order to level up those weapons and just be even more badass. There is a good variety of enemies that are on different tiers of strength. You have the basic enemies which are always knocking about, and to be honest, they're really not that much of a threat, so you can just go around boshing them left and right, and the boss battles aren't too difficult. There is some dodgy voice acting and some good level design in places, but for the most part it's actually a pretty well-rounded experience, especially for a more action-based survival horror. So if you are a fan of Resident Evil 4, this one might be up your alley. It's not a long game either, coming in at around 5 hours-ish long, but I am a bit of a basic bitch when it comes to video games these days. I'm nearly 40, I'm getting old and crusty, so I'm not really sweating games or trying to speedrun anything. I just kind of take my time. Yes, and mostly always on the easy mode, if I can help it. I do like playing on harder difficulties. I just also like to point out that I've recently started a new playthrough of the Resident Evil 4 remake, and I'm playing it on the hardcore difficulty, and I'm doing very well. So don't at me down below with any comments about me always playing on easy mode. I know I always play on easy, but I do up the difficulty on certain games, especially with The Witcher 3 as well. I'm always playing on like Death March difficulty because, well, I do play that game quite a lot, so I'm quite handy with that one. And of course, because it's only 5 hours-ish long, Onimusha, it does have obviously survival horror elements, and the nature of that always encourages replays. Is Onimusha worth picking up? Absolutely. I'd suggest maybe getting it on a sale. I think the full price is only about 16 quid anyway, which isn't a bad price for the game. But if you can get this game for about 5 quid, because it is an old game, even though it's been HD'd up, I think you're in the money there. There is fun to be had with the game, especially if you're an achievement hunter. You can go along and munch those achievements up. It's pretty cool. I do own this, the HD remaster, on Switch and on PlayStation 5, and both versions seem to run perfectly well for me. But let me know in the comments down below if you've ever checked out the Onimusha games, and as always, thank you very much for watching.